What is up, guys? Today we have an awesome build to look at that I've been keeping my eye on over on the Korean servers. This isn't just a build like the Misfortune one. This is like Lucian all over again. It's everywhere in Challenger Korean games, but pretty much nowhere else right now. So throw this video a like if you do, and let me know if you want to see a gameplay of this. It's great me telling you how it works and stuff, but seeing in action and explained is how you really get to grips with it. Anyway, so the build is getting a Ghostblade first, and then it gets a little weird actually, either going into a Duskblade or more of Malmortius, or both, are basically filling our entire inventory with a crap ton of AD and armor pen. So when Lucian and Misfortune kind of came around, a lot of it was focused on the Black Cleaver stuff, right? And I guess Jhin can use it, but it's not exactly ideal, so I didn't really look much at him. Korea had a different idea though. They skipped that, they took a few other parts, threw them together, and made such an odd looking build that really works. Jhin is a burst AD carry, really, like an AD caster. He has short rotations, relying on his abilities, and his fourth automatic crit shot for most of his damage. Like, he'll go in and out of fights, like using his cooldowns and then leave while he reloads with that speed up. He also scales really well, like insanely well with AD for a bunch of different reasons, which combined are the reason this build works. The first thing, his abilities have very high AD ratios. Q is 50%, W is 70%, E is 120%, and your ultimate is 25% per shot, so technically 75% if you hit the first three. The fact that all of his abilities do a lot more damage the more AD you have already gives us a really good excuse to stack it. Then we have our passive, probably the more insane thing actually here. So our AD is increased by a percentage per level, plus more for crit chance and attack speed. Normally this means we're getting a mix of all of them, right? But this build stacks heavy AD, which is increased by that percentage. Remember as well, armor pen is more valuable here because we're going to be doing so much damage with our abilities, and also we have just so much AD. The Deathfire Touch keystone is another reason. So any ability damage, it's not ability power, by the way, just any ability. So your Q, your W, whatever, applies a bleed, which scales with AD. 7.5% ratio per half a second tick of damage. It's actually a bit different for different kind of spells. So your Q and your W count as area of effect. It means they bleed for 2 seconds for a total of 30% bonus AD. Single target spells are the big one though, because it's 4 seconds of bleed for a total of 60%. Now each ultimate shot, actually each bullet, counts as a single target and applies it. Finally, even your 4 shots that you have to reload, you have less attack, so you want to make those 4 hurt a lot more, especially the 4th crit one, and more AD means a much bigger crit. So all of these things together mean that we get more AD from items anyway with our passive, plus we use the AD so well, and the armor pen makes that AD hit even harder. Basically these items are just way more gold efficient on Jhin than any other AD carry because we get more from our gold. So why these 3 though? Like, why not anything else? So before we've been mixing crit and AD together for the passive, but that doesn't really help us with the armor pen side of things or making the most out of our abilities. We're going to look at the core first. So Ghostblade, really good with your 4 auto rotation. You can get those 4 autos off quicker with the active, which means more burst with those and your abilities as well. Especially in lane, you'll be killing people a lot faster. The 40% attack speed on the active as well actually adds 8% to your passive bonus AD calculation, so you'll have more AD for the duration while you're using it. The Duskblade is just very high AD and armor pen, kind of the same reason we get it on Misfortune. Makes our abilities and our short burst of auto attacks hurt more. The Nightfall passive here actually is one where you don't really waste it as much as other AD carries. You can do a lot of damage at the start and it will do a fair amount when it pops. So more Malmortius, again, high AD, armor pen, but gives us magic resist, so more security, and also the lifesteal through the lifeline passive. It's very similar to Duskblade, except trading a little bit of damage here and burst for a shield. These give us a lot of early power. Armor pen to make our abilities hurt more, and heavy AD, which is perfect to burst and for our passive. And we already know, like both the Misfortune and Lucian builds I've looked at, doing damage earlier into the game is really effective in season 6, and it lets us do a lot more as an AD carry. So let me just show you what I actually mean. Ghostblade is 65 AD, 10% cooldown reduction, 20 armor pen, and the active 40% attack speed, 20% move speed. A Duskblade is 75 AD, 5% move speed, 10 armor pen, and the Nightfall passive. So together we're going to get this, but the thing is with Jhin, it's actually not just that because of the percentage increase he gets from his passive. Instead of just playing around with numbers, I want to give you an example from an actual game to show you what it properly looks like. So at level 11, we have a Ghostblade, a Duskblade, and a Doran's Blade, standard runes and masteries and stuff as well, and we have 287 AD with that. So if we look at Misfortune with this exact same build, the same level, the same runes, everything else, it's going to be 212 AD. So that's a difference of 75 AD. Now Jhin actually has 29 more base AD just anyway because he has more than normal, but that passive is giving us about 46 26 bonus AD at level 11. I don't want to go too nuts into the math side of things, but at level 11, that's only 16% plus about 5% from runes. When we get later, that 16% turns into a minimum of 40%, likely about 60 to 70 bonus, plus we have more AD, and it really does add up, like 600 or more AD. This is exactly what I mean when I say it's way more gold efficient on Jhin. We're getting more out of our money, more from the same items. In the shop, even though an item says like 65 AD, for Jhin it would give us like 75 or 85 or even more later. That is why it's so good. So after those two items, we have all of that AD, 30 armor pen to make our abilities and auto attack do more, and it's cost us about 6,500 gold, just a little bit cheaper. So a normal Essence Reaver into rapid fire cannon build is only 65 AD, 0 armor pen, and even counting like the crit and attack speed with your passive, it's about an extra 15 AD roughly. It's nowhere near as much AD as this, and it doesn't spike as hard earlier into the game, which is really important. Jhin is already extremely effective in the lane phase and early mid game. He has a lot of damage, he pushes very hard and can poke you down without you really being able to do much in return. This just lets him do all of those things, but so much better. His win rate is actually best in pre-30-minute games. This lets us take control even more and burst everyone, tanks or squishy targets. It doesn't matter, but let's get into the build, the items, runes, masteries, all that lovely stuff. So the Ghostblade is first, the Dirk into Warhammer as normal, and most people go the Duskblade second. Most of the time, it snowballs harder, it's better at killing people basically, and that's kind of what we want to do, right? As an AD carry, we want to kill people. More is the same price as a Duskblade, but it's a bit more defensive if you're behind, so you have that option, but a lot of people actually buy all three. So then we get the other option. So Last Whisper is really good against tanky teams. It kind of seems overkill, but remember, you do have a ton of AD, so it is still effective. Infinity Edge makes your guaranteed crit hurt more, the AD plus 20% crit, which adds to the passive percentage bonus, so it's going to be increasing your total AD as well. Rapid Fire Cannon is only really worth, in my opinion, with an Infinity Edge already in the build, or you're going to build one afterwards. It gives a very good boost to your passive, which later on into the game is really nice, and also makes your 3 kind of normal autos before the 4th guaranteed one a lot more dangerous because they can now crit. The Bloodthirster is again just very high AD plus lifesteal. It's kind of really straightforward for that one. Some people actually build Triforce as well though. A few certain players get this a lot, but honestly it kind of seems a bit odd. Sure, it gives you attack speed now, which increases your passive, also kind of the Sheen for burst, the Phage for mobility. The CDR is okay, but it's just not great. Overall, it's very expensive for what you get, and at least like math wise, I think the other options are better. So what about Black Cleaver? Because in theory this could work, right? Abilities can still apply it, and we've seen a lot of people using this and testing it out. The problem is more that it's hard to stack, and then you can't really abuse those stacks. Like you're going to get to like 4 or 5 stacks, maybe 6 stacks, then you'll be reloading, so you actually waste a lot of time, and you kind of want to focus more on the burst aspect with this build. Some people are getting this, but it seems more to be testing, and it's not very common. Talking about defensive items with a Korean build is very difficult because Koreans are just allergic to defense. They never ever build it. More is kind of just a standard answer here that gives you pretty much everything you're going to need. Sterix could work against like an AD assassin, I guess, as well. But the thing is, I think this build wants to snowball and abuse mid-game, plus like long range damage. You can't really afford defense, and I don't think you probably need it either. So masteries, we said Deathfire Touch is honestly required with this build, so I don't think you're going to change it, but I'll throw them on the screen so you can see what I've been using. And for runes, attack speed is less effective, but there are kind of 3 options. The first one is just standard, what every AD uses: AD reds, armor, magic resist, and attack speed quints. The second one is very AD heavy, so AD reds, armor, magic resist, and then AD quints. This is going to be letting you do a little bit more damage as you're going through, and honestly I think is a little bit better. So if you want to take this to like another level, you really want to get stuck in there, you can have armor pen reds, armor, magic resist, and AD quints. This is probably like the best overall. I think it increases your ability damage, and you'll be doing so much damage in the lane phase. So let's get down to how we actually play Jhin. Honestly, in the lane phase, you kind of just want to push and push and push a little bit more. You're really effective at poking with your Q and your 4th auto crit, but yeah, keeping them under tower is the easiest way to win your lane as a Jhin. Trading wise, ideally we want to use our 4th crit shot for damage and to exit as well with the speed up. So you use the 4th crit, you hit them, then you're going to have to reload, so you just run away with your speed up. The best way of doing this is to auto attack with your 3rd bullet, then Q, auto to crit, and then back off. It's very simple, but very, very effective. At level 6, you can poke and try to ult for kills. It's really easy to do actually. Get a good trade with your Ghostblade, crit, then back off, ult from the back, and try to snipe a kill. It's so effective, and it works a lot of the time with this build. After the lane phase, getting into team fights, actually the first thing is before the team fight, trying to get some picks. So roaming up to mid lane, for example, open up with your ultimate, slow them down to let your mid laner follow up, while also doing a ton of damage. This is the easiest way to ever win a game on Jhin. I'm not kidding. Ult, slow, get picks and snowball the game with a numbers advantage. In theory, you never have to team fight really. Your ultimate W and Q will be doing crazy damage with this build, so you really do want to abuse them, but your ultimate is probably going to be the main one. Try to open up with that at the start of a fight or just before it. It really does give you a big advantage going into it, especially if you can avoid tanks. It's kind of ideal in that situation, but Armor Pen is going to help you rip through them as well, so you do better against them than a standard build would. If you actually end up using your auto attacks in a team fight, remember to go in and out of fights with your speed up and cooldowns. Don't just try to run straight at someone. You need to go in and out depending on whether you're reloading or not. I actually do mean if you end up auto attacking, because with this build you can kill people with just your ultimate, to be honest, and your Q burst, so you're not going to be doing as much as a traditional AD carry. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this new awesome build. Let me know what you think. Remember to like, subscribe, comment and share, but for now let's go to the robots.